And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your Tuesday. How's it going over there, Ben?
Doing well. How are you?
I don't know. I had one of those Ralph Scream moments a little bit, like a minute ago.
Okay.
Just one of those. We have we walk around the corner after we get off the elevator, and usually you walk around the corner to I don't know. Nothing most of the time.
It's a big bullpen. It's a big square area of cubicles.
Usually there's maybe one person or, Hatch will go do his post-production stuff out there after his show, that type of thing. But walked around the corner, bam, Salazar right there.
Yeah.
Right there. Then Nate, Maddie, it was
Scotty G.
It was everybody whose opinion matters right there. And
not Lloyd, but yeah.
Well, that was disrespectful.
Kidding.
So anyway, it was just I didn't expect it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Griffin. Don't forget Griffin.
Absolutely. I thought, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then, because Scotty's here, we started talking about old times. And what's funny about this, and I'm sure this is true in a lot of different lines of work out there, but everything in radio is the same until the day it's not. Everything changes on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, most of the time you don't see it coming. Sometimes you do. And all of a sudden what happened one way for a long time.
What was is no longer.
Yeah. And what's next is who knows.
Yeah.
And so anyway, sometimes those moments were I used to have a boss's boss, right? Who usually didn't come around all that often, didn't, poke their head into the studio. So anytime you saw them, it was like Ralph Scream. What's happening?
Yeah. But we're always happy to see Maddie and Nate. That's never been a harbinger of bad news.
They're amazing, and actually, telling stories and stuff. The station is in such a good place. As somebody who's been with this station for a long, long time, we're in such a great place. And not that previous stops weren't great as well, but excited about where we find ourselves, Ben. That's for sure.
Yep, no question about it.
Right down to this beautiful studio where you can see us now on the YouTube.
And Christian when he tunes in.
Here, put on your microphone, Christian. Don't say anything. Just turn it on. Okay, there you go. There he is. That's Christian.
I have my
right
camera
there.
turned off.
Where?
What? Why?
Why?
None of the other producers do it anymore.
Why not?
I don't know. They're lazy, and I didn't want to be the only one.
Turn it on.
Turn it on. It's good for your career. Turn it on.
Wait, and where in I
I'm
should
not kidding. It's good for your career. Turn it on.
I have I guess the ability to check myself, but because we have a monitor thing, I guess. But where on the screen is Christian when he has his camera on?
He just takes over, right? Don't you go full screen, or do you jump in the middle?
No,
we go three. We go three shots.
Is it below us or?
I'm in the middle now.
In the middle?
3 pillars.
So if I point like this, then I'm pointing at Christian?
Are we pointing the wrong direction?
Yeah, you got it.
All right.
I got it. So I'm pointing at Christian. I'm pointing at Christian right now.
There we go. Yeah.
Should we require Christian to be absolutely silent but leave his microphone on for the entire show?
Too many people come in there yapping.
Well, he could pot it down but leave
that's true.
But leave it on.
That's true.
Just so
we can see him
just
in action.
So everyone can monitor Christian.
It's not a bad idea.
Just so everyone can look over and see an empty chair when we need it like that.
Like that?
See him scramble every time.
Kidding, of course. You don't need to leave your camera on.
It's off, yeah.
There, Christian. Okay. So now I would be pointing at Ben. Okay. That makes more sense now. Okay. So anyway, shout out to they brought bagels. Long story short is, sometimes working around the holidays, especially when there's breaking news and all that stuff, is you work hours and do things that are extra, and so a little bagel reward is nice for the staff after it's all said and done.
I hope you weren't trying to watch the stream live from our website, because right now the stream is Tempview Orem High School Boys Basketball.
Oh, well, all right.
That was a waste. Unless you're just watching straight through YouTube.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's not the only place to get
it,
Ben, for crying out loud. All right. The Jazz win. They beat Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers, who, I don't know, I feel like we could spend a whole show talking about what a mess they are if anybody actually wanted to listen to it. But
that's what I wrote about last night. That was what my story was.
Yeah, they're a mess.
Yeah, and you don't want to take one game. I mean, by that account, if we were to say one game, they're a mess, you could say, oh, Detroit's not any good, or San Antonio's not any good. The Celtics aren't any good, teams who the Jazz have beaten this year. But the Cavaliers actually look bad. The Cavaliers actually look, they have lost pieces from where they were last year when they won 63 games and were very good. And the pieces they lost were instrumental to their success, and they don't really have a route of getting those players back.
So, a familiar flaw was kind of there. And hey, shout out to Locke, who did a bunch of Grateful Dead references in his broadcast yesterday. But he talks to Scott Morrison usually before games and gets, he pulls bites about game plans and stuff and plays it throughout his broadcast. It's really good. But Coach Morrison talked about their offensive game plan basically being, we're going to get Donovan Mitchell. He actually called by name Sam Merrill and Donovan.
Yeah.
Did he say Donovan Mitchell? I'm trying to remember. He said two people. I can't remember if it was I think it was Garland and Sam Merrill, but he mentioned them both by name. He kind of he was like, not that they're bad defenders, but. And then he said they're going to take advantage of those matchups.
And the Jazz did a very good job of that.
Every time. Lauri would get
Sam
Merrill. Did I say Sam Mitchell?
No, you said Sam Merrill.
Oh, okay. Sam Merrill would get Sam Merrill on him and just bully him straight under the basket.
Ace Bailey did which Ace Bailey is not in bullying position at this point in his career.
Locke played that bite like 4 times because it's exactly what happened throughout the entire game. Keyonte would get one of those, and bam, he makes a play. Lauri would get it, bam, makes a play. I mean, it's what we talked about it last week, where the elbow or catching it at the nail thing didn't really work for him, and right now he's just running over dudes and going to the basket.
Yeah,
and it was on full display.
Yep.
But the thing is, Cleveland had no answer at all, like nothing they possibly could do, because they have the tiniest little backcourt you've ever seen in your life. I mean,
which is familiar.
That's what I'm saying. Familiar. Yeah. It was very familiar watching it because, Sam Merrill aside, who's your 3-point specialist, who's not really a starter but was a starter last night. If you start 2 tiny guys, the other team has a mismatch every time. Yeah. If you're a good coach, you can scheme 1 tiny guy in today's day and age, but 2. You're dead in the water. Then you throw a 3-point specialist that can't stay in front of everyone, and no offense to Sam, can't stay in front of most really athletic players, or are going to get run over by the bigger ones like Lauri Markkanen. They're in real trouble. And I love Jared Allen, and he's a great rim protector just like Rudy Gobert was. But there are some things that's not going to fix. The Jazz had more points in the paint than the Cavs did last night.
Jared Allen had 8 points and 4 rebounds last night. I mean, was totally washed out of the game by Yusuf Nurkic, which credit Yusuf Nurkic. He is just huge. He's an absolute beast of a human being. And I don't mean bad. I mean, he's an enormous human.
No, in the way we should find this clip where maybe did we take it number 1, the best cameo in movie history? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Airplane.
It was certainly on the list.
Where the kid's like, my dad says you don't hustle or play defense or something like that. And he's like, listen, kid, you tell your dad he should try and drag Walton and Rainier up and down the floor for 48 minutes a game or whatever he said. Because it's true. Like giant, huge humans that you're basically leaning on or having lent on you for the entire game is just brutal. There's a reason Anthony Davis doesn't want to play center.
Yeah.
Like Yusuf Nurkic is that reason. Because maybe you get the advantage of it. Maybe you're a better player than him, but he's 900 pounds and he's going to lean on you the whole game and he's going to scrap after every rebound because that's the reason he's in the league still.
He's got to feel unmovable, and everybody's played pickup basketball or church league and played against that one guy who you're like, why are his feet cemented to the ground? I just can't move this person. I just bounce off of him. Nurkic does that with NBA players, with basically, probably 99% of the players that are in the league, including last night Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, who were just pretty benign. I mean, again, Jared Allen had 4 rebounds. Evan Mobley had 9 rebounds and 8 assists. He had a pretty nice stat line. Felt totally unimpactful, and his reigning Defensive Player of the Year award looked like a sham because Lauri Markkanen just went after him every single time in the first half. So what's amazing about Lauri right now is, he did it to Anthony Davis against the Mavericks and the Jazz win before last night. Their previous win before that, before they lost by 55 to the Hornets. He just went right at AD, didn't really care. He just went right at the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Evan Mobley. He's really taken that next step where it just doesn't matter who's guarding him at all. And then, Nurkic just leans on thinner guys.
On that Lauri point before we move on. Did I tell you Mike Smith's theory about when Draymond got thrown out?
No.
Which I thought was really interesting. Because remember, when Draymond Green got thrown out against the Jazz for Golden State, he was complaining about a 3-second call. Like Phil stood in the lane forever. And he actually gave up a dunk to Lauri because he was complaining about the call, and then he got thrown out. Mike's theory was that Lauri had basically ragdolled him several times. Over and over, and he got thrown out because he
quit.
He didn't want to be embarrassed.
I'd believe it. In all honesty, I'd believe it.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was interesting coming from Mike, too, who knows kind of the games that NBA players play sometimes.
Yeah.
And his theory was, he got thrown out on purpose because – and remember the next day you and I were asking, why on earth would you get thrown out over such a stupid thing?
Yeah, unless you meant to.
At a stupid time.
Yeah, first half.
Yeah, like second quarter.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, honestly, that's not a crazy theory.
And that Lauri was beating him up, and he was looking stupid. And he was like, I'm out of here.
So Lauri has upped his physicality, grabbed 12 rebounds last night, again, against a pretty good front court with Cleveland. But no, to your point, and again, this is what I wrote about last night, the truth is, betting on Donovan was the right move for Cleveland. I don't think that was a mistake at all. Donovan is who he was when he was here in Utah. He's actually better. He's upped his averages. He's more efficient. He's become a better player. Now, he still has his flaws. He's not a good defensive player, as was illustrated last night. But Donovan's a better player than he was in Utah, now in Cleveland. Last night, he wasn't fabulous by any means, but he has done every single thing you could have hoped of him. I just think Cleveland was betting on Jared Allen and Darius Garland to be one of them would become a better player than Donovan Mitchell, most likely Evan Mobley, and that hasn't happened. As good as he is, he's probably not even as good as prime Rudy Gobert. And then, if you knew Donovan Mitchell's flaw was playing in the backcourt with a smaller guard and Mike Conley, why did you recreate that in Cleveland? They should have traded Darius Garland 2 years ago for that big wing that covers up all the things Donovan Mitchell doesn't do, and they sat on him. And they held on to Darius Garland too long, and his value is not diminished. I could see him going to like Minnesota or something in a trade this year. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, but they're not going to get that championship piece back, and their window is closed, which is crazy that they're already at that point where I don't know how they're going to retool and build a finals team, which was the entire goal of trading the kitchen sink to get Donovan in the first place.
I agree with you, but let me see. Let me look this up. Ask me how I know that Darius Garland has a bad agent.
How's that?
Because he re-signed with Cleveland.
Yeah, he did. After demanding a trade.
Why?
He demanded a trade at one point and was like, I don't think this is going to work. And he was right. This is not going to work. Yeah.
He was right. And remember all that stuff last year in the offseason, or was it 2 years ago, where Clutch was trying to paint Donovan Mitchell with the coach killer label and all this and this infighting, and Donovan Mitchell won.
Uh-huh.
And he re-signed there.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's a bad fit.
It is. It's a really bad
It
fit.
wasn't a particularly awesome contract. I mean, he's making $39.4 this year, $42.1 the next, $44.8 the year after that.
It's right at the max, close to the max, but yeah.
Why?
No, I'm with you.
Why?
No.
That doesn't make any sort of sense to me. Where I disagree with you is that Donovan Mitchell has gotten better since leaving Utah. Now, I will grant you that, hey, Donovan's not dumb. As players get older and they learn stuff, they naturally get better.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but I think he feeds into his worst self, and that's why Cleveland is not going anywhere. And I think he would tell you he's better, and that's part of the problem. When it was working, remember we talked about this last year. When it was working, it was because Donovan was moving off of the ball. It's because he was not scoring 30 points a game. And now, he's broken Darius Garland, who's just taking the crumbs that he's left. And he played pretty well last night.
Yeah, Darius was good. He's a good player. That's the problem. He is a really good player.
Right. And he's underutilized because there's a ton of overlap with the star player who's not going to move, who's not going to budge on him.
Yeah.
And I would argue that he budged on him at least a little bit in Utah. And I do think that Quinn Snyder drew up a great game plan for Rudy. The only way, really, that they could make Rudy as effective as he was. And I think that Donovan had to do some things which weren't about Donovan that he did for the sake of the team. Mm-hmm. And I've always given him credit for that, and I still do. I think he's done with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's good enough to get Cleveland to a title by himself. If he emphasized Evan Mobley and Darius Garland and emphasized team and the new ball movement wave that is sweeping the league, I think Cleveland could be pretty good because it's not a bad roster. It's not.
Yeah, they should be. I mean, they're in 7th place right now in the East.
And
they would be in the play-in tournament right now. They're better than that. Their roster is better than that.
Way better than that. In the East, I picked them to win the dang East because they have a roster that is every bit as good as most of the Eastern teams. Mm-hmm. Overlap aside.
Yeah, right.
But that's not how he's. That's not what he's going to do, and so they're not going to win. LaMelo Ball celebrating him last year for scoring 30 whatever points a game. Your team won. What did Charlotte win? 18 games, 19 games.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Whatever they won doesn't matter. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
No, it's a real credit, and here to bring this full circle and back to something that happened last night, which was Donovan Mitchell after the game said he thought that Keyonte George should be an all-star this year. It was very typical Donovan. I think a lot of people listening to it would actually roll their eyes listening to Donovan heap praise on somebody else knowing what the narrative was going to be coming out of the conversation.
Yeah, the other guy that just lit him on fire, you're going to say how good that guy is. Donovan has always been a master at the narrative.
Yeah.
And how do I
paint myself in a good picture by complimenting somebody else? And it can be sincere, but it also can seem insincere at the same time. It's just kind of one of Donovan's blessings and curses. Whatever. What I do think is relevant here is that the Jazz are doing with Keyonte what everybody probably should have done with Donovan Mitchell from the very beginning is tell Donovan, you're a point guard. You're too little to be a shooting guard. You're just too little. I don't know what to tell you. You're too little. And Keyonte George, he was on the Zach Lowe show, the podcast this week, and said, I didn't want to play point guard. I didn't play point guard in high school. I didn't play it in college. And I didn't want to be a point guard in the NBA. And my very first draft meeting with the Jazz, Danny Ainge said, guess what you are? You're a point guard. We're going to put the ball in your hands, and we're going to make you a point guard. And they did it in year one, and it didn't work very well. And they did it in year two, and it didn't work very well. And then last night was a brilliant point guard performance from Keyonte George. Because if I were to go back and pull up his box score, I think if I look at his first half stats, I think Keyonte had 3 field goal attempts. He was 1 of 3 from the floor. He had 7 assists. What did he do? He got everybody else in a rhythm. He got Lauri in a rhythm because Lauri had 16 points. He said, I'm going to get you involved. I'm going to get you going. You're going to be locked in from the opening start. You're going to have Sam Merrill on you, and you're going to cook him, and you're going to set it up. And then in the second half, it's going to be my show, and I'm going to take over the game because that's where I can be great. And in the second half, he had 25 points. He was the best player on the floor by 1,000 miles. I mean, Keyonte was so good last night. He didn't shoot the ball in the first half. He had 3 shot attempts. Yeah. You know, he didn't look for his shot in the slightest and then absolutely dominated the game over the last 24 minutes. And that's game management and point guard play that honestly Donovan just never developed. And that's a Jazz fault. Jazz should have made him a point guard from day one as well. That is something that we should have seen Quinn Snyder lean into. But they had Ricky Rubio when he came in, and Ricky wasn't any good off the ball. And then they thought, well, if we're replacing Ricky Rubio, we need to get another point guard, so they got Mike Conley. And honestly, they probably did Donovan a disservice by not making him a point guard and finding bigger players next to him. And it's bizarre that Cleveland said, let's keep doing that. Now, on the flip side, maybe everyone is smarter than I am behind the scenes, and that's usually the case. And they saw, oh, Donovan can't be a point guard. There's something in him that won't allow him to do that. And you got to really credit Keyonte for figuring it out because Keyonte was absurd last night. He was so good.
He was. And I like that about Keyonte. The maturing Keyonte is maturing in all the right ways. I totally agree with that. And I'm not so sure the maturing Donovan matured in all of the right ways. And there's, maybe that the previous, front office for the Jazz, maybe they saw that. Say, this guy can't be the point guard because you can't trust him with the ball.
Yeah, whatever it is. He's going to dial his own number more often than not, or whatever it is. Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to call his own number every time. Sophomore Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
Who had to learn that, I know you can get, 5 to 50 yards on every play. You got to figure out a way to get the ball to your All-American tailback.
Yeah.
And he did, and he learned, and all that. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that's Donovan. I don't think Donovan is going out there and playing to get the best out of Darius Garland. To your argument about Keyonte, he was out to get the best out of Keyonte, out of Lauri. Keyonte George was out to get the best out of Lauri Markkanen last night.
And you know what?
And out of his teammates. And you hear the way the other point guards talk about him, the other point guards who are directly competing with him talk about him. It says a lot.
It's funny to hear Keyonte say, he says this a lot. You'll hear it if you pay attention to post games. You have to listen to all of them, so you hear it. Got to feed the head of the snake. He says that a lot. That's what he calls Lauri, the head of the snake. It's clearly something that Will Hardy has said. Lauri is the head of the snake. We got to feed him. We got to take care of him. We got to get him involved. Because Keyonte just mimics it and says it over and over and over. There is a major difference between that and what was Donovan Mitchell. We make fun of it all the time. So famous for saying after every loss, well, I'm the best player on the team.
So I got to be better.
I got to be better. I'm the best player on the team. And Keyonte, who has an argument to be the Jazz's best player, I still think it's Lauri, but is not fighting to say this is my team, is not fighting to say I'm the guy. He says over and over and over, I got to get Lauri the ball. I got to get him the ball on the spot to be successful. I've got to make sure Lauri gets going. And then he actually backs it up. And I think that's what's been refreshing if you're a Jazz fan about Keyonte George this year. And that's just a minor difference in these players, but again, I tweeted out last night. You can go look. Their third-year stats are basically identical. Keyonte's more efficient. He's a better shooter. Donovan scored a little bit more, rebounded a little bit more, but we're talking about fractions of a point.
Why did they have the green light to win it, though?
I wonder that as well.
And we were theorizing, don't they have Cleveland's draft pick, so it actually is kind of in their interest. But isn't that all splitting hairs? It's the number of wins that they have to limit.
It is. I think when you lose by 55, you may need to turn the page as quickly as possible. Yeah. And if that means eating a victory in a season where you're not all that interested in eating wins, you may just have to.
Because they were certainly playing to win. Will was certainly coaching to win.
Now, look, Kevin Love played there. Lauri Markkanen played there. The Jazz want to embarrass Donovan Mitchell? I mean, they do. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think it's an organizational, we're mad at Donovan Mitchell, but that's going to be ingrained that Donovan Mitchell left and has heaped all this praise. It
reflects directly on their decision-making. So,
yeah,
that's only human nature.
Beat him.
I'm not hating on anybody.
Beat
Donovan
him.
wants to beat the Jazz.
Absolutely.
That was the first time Donovan's ever lost to the Jazz.
Right. I think his first time he came back, he had 40-something. Yeah. That's human nature. The Jazz want to do that. And look, Keyonte should want to cook that dude. That's who Keyonte should be going after, is those guys in the NBA saying, I'm as good as you are, and I think I can beat you.
I got to tell you, though, if they took the leash off, let alone if the Jazz still had Walker Kessler, this is a playoff team. That may sound like
hyperbole,
hyperbole homer take, but
no. Look at the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns are a playoff team this year. Yeah, they're not that great.
The Jazz are beating teams like San Antonio and Detroit, and when they get the green light to play against teams, they're beating them. In fact, I think it's the problem when they have these giant letdowns, because they're like, you got to stop that.
Yeah, my takeaway certainly from last night, and other than the things we mentioned, is that as soon as the Jazz flip the switch, they're going to be competitive really quick. That doesn't mean win a title, but they're going to win more games than they lose next season, because they're going to add pieces around what they already have, and they're just going to try every night.
Because Lauri's taking it to another level, and Keyonte's a guy.
Yep. It's that simple. With just those two guys, you have something.
And then you throw in Walker, where their greatest weakness is they don't have a center. No offense, Nurk. Well, got Nurk, and that's it. I mean, they had Kevin Love and Phil for the Charlotte game.
Yeah, Nurk is the 18th best center in the NBA, 20th best center in the NBA.
If you plug that with a good player, all of a sudden you're talking about winning
44 or 45 games.
Right.
Yep.
It's not that far off.
No, it's next year. Jazz are going to win 40 games next year. I really firmly believe that. Barring injury, that's where the Jazz are.
What happens to this pick next year?
Nothing. It's forgiven.
No, that can't be it. They must send 2
Nothing.
seconds,
It's
right?
totally expunged after this year. That's why they're doing it. Nothing going Oklahoma City's way after this year. It's absolutely forgiven, debt-free after this.
Stay tuned. More Jacob Ben coming up next. Top 3 stories of the day. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
There are dozens of us, Ben. Dozens. All right. It's time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. It's brought to you by our friends at J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. Just a hint. Valentine's Day is coming up very soon.
Oh, man, it is.
Very soon. And J. Brooks is happy to be there for you.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it. All right. Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, the transfer portal outrage continues. Salesi Moa, the biggest recruit that ever committed to Utah, has flipped, and it sounds like he's going to be going to Michigan.
He was a Tennessee commit, a late flip for Utah. Kind of seemed like Utah may have sacrificed a couple of other commits as they donated or dedicated, I should say, some resources towards Moa. That's pure speculation on my part. And then after Kyle Whittingham leaves, he throws his name in the transfer portal with a do not contact, which generally means I've already picked my next school, which is essentially like saying I've been tampered with, right? Isn't that essentially what that implies? And he's going to Michigan. Look, I think everybody assumed this as soon as Witt took the Michigan job. Our own Steve Bartle had reported that Salesi Moa had reported to Utah, at least was on campus going to school, but is now withdrawn his name.
But don't be mad about it. Be grateful.
Throw that yellow M on your hat, blue hat, go blue, be thrilled about it.
The man did a lot for the program. How dare you, in fact, be mad about it? Saw a lot of anger.
A lot of anger.
On
lot of mad
the
people.
Snap Talk as I was sitting in the radio command center. A lot of anger, and it should have been a lot of gratitude. I don't understand why there wasn't more, people with Ute in their handle saying, so glad, so thankful today that Michigan came in and took a previous commit or enrollee.
There were some
He's at
people that were
school.
like, we don't even need you. You transferred too many times. We don't need you. You would love to have this kid, it seems like. Look, again, I'm not angry at the kids, certainly, by any means.
You better not be.
Yeah. Well, why would you be mad at a kid, in all honesty? Kids get to go be
Better not be mad
children.
at anybody. Gratitude. You should thank him for spending time on Utah's campus.
But Witt has picked off some very key pieces. And again, we need to let Salesi Moa actually figure out where he's going to go. And assuming he does end up at Michigan, that seems to be where everyone is saying he's going to land. Maybe he changes his mind at the last minute and goes elsewhere.
I hope he does. Be grateful if he
For
landed
Michigan.
in Michigan. Yeah.
It'd be the best news possible.
Right.
Getting J.J. Buchanan, getting John Henry Daly, now getting Utah's top recruit is a big loss. I mean, that's a big kick to the chest for Utah. And Morgan Scalley's got to figure out how to make up some of these absences. And a lot of it's going to be a little bit late. And you got to go back to the transfer portal. And look, Utah's just not going to win the transfer portal over BYU. Mm-hmm. When you look at all the talent coming into BYU, they just got one of the highest rated transfer linebackers. They added a bunch of offensive linemen yesterday. They added a receiver from Oregon. Utah I don't think has the money to compete. Clearly, if they did, they would be getting some of these bigger names or holding on to more of these players. And Utah's going to have to figure out how to do more with less, which has been what they've done traditionally. I just think catching up to the more with the less is a bigger gap than it used to be because of the financial opportunities other schools have.
Maybe. I think Utah's biggest battle is going to be finding those diamonds in the rough and convincing them to stay. Have you seen have you heard the promo with Eric Weddle playing on the station with Hanson Scotty, where he's talking about, building better humans and all these things? I mean, that's going to be the message. And by the way, there can be authenticity in that there is value there where you're going to bring them under your wing and turn them into better football players and hopefully, capable adults that are willing to tackle the world, which, by the way, is supposed to be the mission of universities everywhere with all their students, not just like anywho. You can sell that and that lands with people.
It does. I would warn people against listening to that because you're not wrong. with also saying that's what every other school. Witt is still selling that at Michigan. He's also selling that with $80,000.
I got it. But, selling it and doing it are two different things. I think a lot of
Morgan's
people
got to follow through on it.
would tell you. Yeah. So I don't think Michigan has ever really valued anything like that. So you can sell it till you're blue in the face, but they're there to win at all costs. Mm-hmm. Jim Harbaugh was hiding in trees and sending a buffoon in a mustache to spy on other teams.
Alex Jensen is selling, let's make some great people.
Yeah. So you got to.
Kevin Young is too, and also says we also have $6 million for you, AJ DeBonson.
But Alex has to deliver on it,
or $4 million, or whatever.
Just like honestly, just like Rick Majerus had to deliver on it, although his messaging was a tad bit different,
a little different.
But you have to make them better players. And why did Damian Lillard not only go to Weber State but stay at Weber State?
Yeah,
because it's what was best for him, and he will tell you to this day that was a good decision on his part.
And look, Utah has won without Salesi Moa in the past.
So.
Without 5-star recruits in the past. They're going to have to keep doing it.
So people don't care about that crap anymore, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter.
Sure.
Next.
Number 2, did the Houston Texans end Aaron Rodgers' career?
Physically, it seemed like they did. Aaron Rodgers was on his back the entire game. They hit him every single time he dropped back. That is an incredibly great defense. I wish C.J. Stroud was a little better. Now, he's still very young, third year. They made the playoffs already, right? This is his second trip to the playoffs. Is this his first win? Had they won a game before? I suspect they were on the road, and I know this was the Texans' first ever road playoff win, so that would lead me to believe that this is probably C.J. Stroud's first win. But so he's got to go through some of that learning curve of figuring out how to do this. And now they've got to go play at the Patriots, right? And that's going to be a very difficult place to play. But that Texans defense is as good as I've seen in the NFL this year. They are swarming. It looks like Texas Tech. They're just all over you. The Texans defense, I should say.
Can I tell you why I hated watching that game? And the ending got a little bit more spicy, but
well, it was 7-6 going into the fourth quarter, right? It was an atrocious game.
Atrocious.
Yeah.
Have you ever? Well, I'm sure you did this at some point. Your kids are a little older now, but to try and help your little kids make a basket. Mm-hmm. Shooting a hoop where you put them a little closer, and then you put them a little closer. When that doesn't work, you pick them up a little bit,
put them on the shoulders,
and then when that doesn't, and then eventually you're holding them next to the rim to put the ball in there. Houston did everything they could to lose that game. I mean,
turnovers,
bad
in the red
turnovers,
zone.
like inopportune times. Like they were trying in a sense to lose the game, and Pittsburgh couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Right.
Just blow it.
Oh, Texans would give up a big pass play. You're like, oh, here comes the drive. And then it would be 3rd and 18 out of nowhere because of a false start and a sack. Yeah. They hurt themselves over and over, did the Texans, and then the Steelers just couldn't do anything about it.
It was so hard to watch. It was so frustrating to watch, like watching your little child who just can't quite get it to the rim and need to be handed an even more beneficial opportunity and still throwing it and hitting the underside. You know what I mean? It was so bad. Houston, and the Houston was playing well too, and then would just make a big mistake.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh would dodge the bullet. You know. Mm-hmm. Like, they should have been way out of that game a long time before they were, but good things kept happening to them, and then they could not take advantage of it. Anyway, what a way for Rodgers to go out. What do you think about Tomlin?
Certainly seems like that was probably it for him. Again, what is it, 9 straight years since they've won a playoff game? They make the playoffs every year because they're the Steelers, but they have not advanced very far. And look, they need a better quarterback. They're going to need better quarterback play. A lot of it has to do with, was their last win when Ben Roethlisberger was there?
It was like 2010, I
think.
Yeah,
it's got to be right around there. So they do need better quarterback play, and they have not had it since Roethlisberger left. And that's not great analysis, but that's just the truth of what happens in football. So they've got to find their guy. And it can't be Tiny Hands Pickett.
No. You know why I don't want them to fire? I wouldn't pretend to know the ins and outs of what goes on with Pittsburgh, the Steelers, and their head coach. But Pittsburgh has always wanted to win, and he's always tried to win, no matter if he's had tiny hands or whomever. I mean, what are the other cavalcade of bozos that have gone through since
Did they have
Ben
Justin
left?
Fields last year?
Yeah.
Last year was Rusty. Yep.
Oh, man, I forgot about the Rusty.
Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
And he's been trying to win. And he's won more than he should have won. And they need to find a quarterback. There's no doubt about that. But I don't like just firing a good coach because your management, and the coach included, I guess, can't seem to find a quarterback. And it's not his fault that they've been just chasing it.
It's John Harbaugh. We're shaking up the status quo because we think maybe we can't figure anything else out.
John Harbaugh has the best quarterback in the league, and there's a much better argument to be made about firing John Harbaugh than there is Mike Tomlin. He's had a dump of a roster since Roethlisberger, and he keeps finding a way to sneak in, and you're going to punish him because he can't take it to the next level? Are you serious? That should have been a 4-win team, and he's making the playoffs. And then you're like, oh, he can't win at the playoffs. Well, yeah, you couldn't win in the playoffs with that team. Not a chance.
The only argument I'd have is I think this might be a Tomlin decision and not a Steelers decision. I think maybe Tomlin wants to step away and do something else.
If he wants to go take a CBS media job and make $10 million for sitting around on a Sunday once a week or whatever, he should do that.
I bet he does that for a year, and then I bet he goes back to coaching. I'd be surprised if he leaves the Steelers and takes another job right away.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Sometimes the media life just agrees with.
Mm-hmm. And you go and you test it and you realize, oh, man.
That's pretty good.
I'm off Monday through Wednesday. I do a little bit of research Thursday and Friday, and I'm ready for Sunday. Yeah, that's good.
I know people are hating on Tony Romo now, and for plenty good reason, I suppose. But, he still had gas in the tank when he retired. Mm-hmm. He could have come back and been a veteran quarterback for a mediocre roster.
Yeah, no question.
But, that once a week working with Jim Nantz, who does all the work, really is pretty good because he plays a lot of golf, I'm sure.
Yep.
All right. Do we have one more?
Number 3, Keyonte George had the better stats last night, and the Jazz got the win. Does that mean Keontae's better than Donovan Mitchell?
It does not, but I don't think that's a crazy conversation to have. It will depend on when the Jazz start winning, and credit Donovan. Donovan Mitchell was the leading scorer on a team that never failed to make the playoffs in Utah while he was here. That's a hard thing to do as a young player, and Donovan was a good player. I don't think we need to diminish Donovan by talking about how good of a player Keyonte has become. The question I think now for the Jazz is what do they do on these next 4 road trip games? The Jazz there's no maybe other team in the NBA that is more dangerous to lose 5 straight or win 5 straight regardless of the opponent. Because if you were to say the Jazz play Chicago, Dallas, and San Antonio to close this road trip, there's a real argument they could go 4-1 to over this 5-game road trip, including the victory last night. They also could pull the plug and lose 4 straight. And after beating Cleveland, that might be the directive. Because you don't want to win too many games. Because you don't want to be in a spot where you're trying to hold on to your draft pick late and it not really actually being in your control.
And get ready for this one when they play 2 against Dallas, okay? This is a team you're directly competing with for lottery odds. So these are just incredibly important games to lose.
Yep.
Especially 2 in a row.
Yep.
I hate it.
Especially because you already beat them. You just beat them on Thursday. What was last Thursday that the Jazz beat them? So, yeah, you can't beat them 3 times in 2 weeks and hope to stay ahead of them in the lottery. Then again, I think, did Dallas just win last night? I think Dallas won last night and picked up a victory. So if you are tracking the standings last night, it was not the worst time to win games. Sacramento also picked up the win. The Clippers won to stay ahead of the Jazz in the standings, and I think Dallas got a victory.
Great.
Anyways, that's the conversation.
Let's give away some Jazz tickets.
Let's do it.
All right.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, and your chance to win tickets is right now.
Call this number now.
Call this number now.
Be caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. And you'll be on your way to Delta Center to see the Utah Jazz.
He fires the 3. He hits. Oh, don't do me like that.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Caller number 12 right now. We're hooking you up with a pair of tickets to go see the Jazz take on the Timberwolves Tuesday, January 20th. Go see Rudy at the Delta Center at 6 o'clock. Stay tuned. More next. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
What's that?
Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson
1, 2, 3, move it.
on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacobin, want to remind you can join Hans and Scotty coming up today, not in Salt Lake City, actually, from noon to 3 at Sound Sleep Medical, 8941 South, 700 East in Sandy. Not Salt Lake City, but Sandy.
Not too far out.
Ben, real quick here, because we are going to talk a little NFL football coming up in the very next segment with Bryan DeArdo, who writes for CBS Sports. I love a great petty move. You saw that Brooks Koepka is coming back to the PGA Tour from Live Golf.
I did.
Apparently, there are only like 3, maybe 4 players that the PGA Tour actually wants back. And that's Brooks Koepka, Jon Rahm, and Bryson DeChambeau. Also maybe Cam Smith, but certainly those ones. So they made this arbitrary rule where they'll welcome back major winners who abandon their tour cards as long as they won a major after 2022 or 2022 and after.
Oh, okay. So since Liv kind of came in and started poaching everybody,
So
and a little beyond that.
that would Koepka would qualify. So would Rahm. So would DeChambeau. Do you remember the year that Phil Mickelson last won a major?
When was it?
2021.
Oh, okay. They've drawn the line.
2021.
Phil won a major that recently?
Yeah, remember
Wow.
he fell out of nowhere and won the PGA Championship.
Yeah. Forgot now.
Even Phil noticed, apparently, sending out some crying, like laughing, crying emojis and clapping hands.
Nobody wants Phil around. It's amazing Liv even wanted him around.
Well, and he very vocally did this to hurt the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing it in his mind to reform the PGA Tour, but he did this as a vindictive move. I'm not surprised the PGA Tour would be vindictive right back.
Did we ever resolve all of Phil Mickelson's insider trading issues? I thought more of those came out recently from our friend at Pablo Torre Finds Out. I thought there was even more of those that were released. I wonder if honestly some of that is hanging over his head and no longer does the PGA want anything to do with him. I mean, clearly that's the case, but also if you're bringing back a guy who's going to be facing insider trading, allegedly.
Well, that aside, I wouldn't want somebody who's gambled $1 billion in their lifetime, probably.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah. All right, stay tuned. We're talking NFL football coming up next with Bryan DeArdo of CBS Sports. Stay tuned, 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Benz, time to talk some NFL football. Let's get right out to the zone phone. Joining us now, he makes the magic happen for CBS Sports. He's Bryan DeArdo with us here on Jake and Ben. What's going on, Bryan?
Not too much. Still getting over the 2 a.m. drive back from the Steelers Houston game, but caffeinated and ready to roll. Always good to be on with you guys.
Yeah, that is unfortunately and fortunately part of the job. Well, I guess what were your takeaways last night? That was a slog that, if you just saw the final score, looked like a completely different game.
Yeah, my main takeaway from it is, Houston, that defense was incredible last night on every level. I mean, there was a lot said about Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. and the Texans pass rush, but a lot of those sacks and pressures was the byproduct of just nobody being open. So, Houston's going to give New England, I think they're going to give them some fits. Their defense is certainly more than capable. I think the Nico Collins injury is going to be huge, and that's where the one less game since they had to play on Monday night is could potentially loom large for their game against New England, because he was carted off the field yesterday with a concussion, did not return. It did not look good. So if Nico Collins isn't there, I know Christian Kirk played great last night, but that's certainly going to hurt them. On the other side, I think Aaron Rodgers is done. I was in his press conference, and he discussed Pittsburgh in the past tense. He referenced being in Pittsburgh for 1 year. I think it's done, and hey, last night wasn't pretty, but there are a lot of worse ways to go out, and very few quarterbacks get to go out on top. But overall, for being 42, I thought he had a solid season. But I do think that his time in Pittsburgh is over, and Mike Tomlin's could be over as well.
It's pretty mind-blowing how Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre had the exact same career. Do you remember the interception that Brett Favre went out on in the playoffs with Minnesota? It was brutal. And maybe, their third stop was with a different team, but it is pretty amazing that their careers are like exactly the same.
No, they are. Yeah, no, and you're exactly right. And I actually hadn't pieced that together. That their last throws are now. Obviously, Favre's last real throw was in a playoff game or in a game against Chicago. That I think it was at the University of Illinois because they were renovating the stadium. It was a weird season, especially for Favre. But yeah, I mean Rodgers, and that's a great comparison because Favre was unreal his second to last season, and he stayed around 1 year too long. Now, he has said in hindsight he doesn't regret that because he kind of needed that one season of being beaten down to realize enough was enough. I think that could have been Rodgers' game last night. He didn't need a season of that. He had a game of that. And I do think, again, his arm is still very much alive. He was trying to will them back into that game last night when they had nothing else. But his lack of mobility, especially against a team as good as Houston's and teams you're going to see in the playoffs, it's just not there anymore. So, again, he didn't have the season where he fell off a cliff. And that's where I do think, maybe he looks at this and says, hey, if I retire now, it wasn't the great John Elway ending, but it still wasn't too bad.
Taking the Seahawks and the Broncos out of it, so only teams we've seen play so far, who had the most impressive performance over the weekend that advanced?
I mean, I think it's got to be between either the 49ers or the Bears for different reasons. And that's not taking anything away from the Rams who knocked out the defending champs. But I just think when you look at the Bears, no, it wasn't. The Niners took out the defending champs. So yeah, when you look at the Niners win, yeah, I mean they took out the Eagles, and again, the Eagles were a team that we all saw we saw that coming, right? I mean, their offense hasn't been right all year. We've seen the A.J. Brown issues with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, but I think again the Niners losing players and losing George Kittle again. They're already without Fred Warner, Ricky Pearsall, other guys. That was just really, really impressive, and how they continue to plug in guys. And, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion, is a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best backs, if not the best running back in the league, and he's been so for a while. It's just, for him, it's been health, right? But if he's healthy, with Robert Saleh on the other side, they can get it done. And the Bears, I mean, I heard another analyst call Caleb Williams the fifth best quarterback in the league the other day. I don't know if I believe that, but it might be hard to find four that are playing better than him just this season, especially his ability to will his team back. Their belief in themselves, their belief that they can win these close games, I think is a huge reason why they are where they are. And the one thing I will say, too, for fans that just look at stats, I think Caleb Williams is case in point why stats can be a little overrated. His completion percentage is awful compared to quarterbacks of today, but a lot of those are throwaways when no one's open, and those are good plays. He doesn't take a lot of – and even when he gets sacked, those are good decisions too because he doesn't force the ball. And I think that's been one of Coach Johnson's biggest things with him is, hey, incompletions are better than turnovers. Let's not care about stats. Let's focus on winning the game. And I think they've done a great job with that.
I get annoyed with people bending over backwards to give Kyle Shanahan and McVay credit all of the time. But they are good coaches. So my question is, are they hands down the best coaches left?
Did you say McVay there? Shanahan and McVay?
Uh-huh.
Okay. See, that's my sleep deprivation's kicking in here. I couldn't remember.
Go ahead.
DeMeco Ryans is
right.
a great coach. I mean, he really is. And and going into last night, everybody kept saying, two defensive-minded coaches, it's going to be a rock fight. But, DeMeco and his team now, that was the first road playoff win in Houston Texans history, which I know they haven't been around since 1930, but they've been around for 24 years. That's significant. And so, and to your point, I think it's hard to say who's the best coach. I think Shanahan's a great coach, but obviously his teams continuously come up short when it matters. I mean, I don't know. I would say Mike. I mean, I would give Mike Vrabel some love, but again, I mean, he hasn't gotten his teams beyond. I mean, he did get to an AFC Championship game in 2019. So I would say this season, Vrabel's been the best coach, and his team is still alive. So I guess it's Mike Vrabel.
I'm glad you answered it that way because I didn't ask it very well. My point in asking it was, Vrabel and some of these young coaches are really, really good too.
For sure.
Here are the games that are coming up this weekend: Broncos, Bills, Patriot, Texans, Seahawks, 49ers, Bears, Rams. What's the best game?
Oh, man, I mean, you got to go with – in my opinion, I think it's Bears and Rams, and Bills and Broncos is after that. I mean, I think Bears and Rams is going to be so much fun to watch because – and again, you've got the same narrative that we kind of had with Green Bay in Chicago where Green Bay's MO, again, Matt LaFleur, young coach, everything. I don't know if you guys saw, but Rodgers really went out of his way to defend LaFleur last night. And Michael Silver of The Athletic had an article. Apparently, he texted LaFleur and asked him what he thought, and LaFleur was floored that Rodgers would come to his aid like that. I just thought that was a little cool nugget for your audience. But, yeah, I mean, I think, again, they're going to face another Rams team like the Packers who struggled to close games late in the season. I mean, we all remember the Seattle Rams game late in the year where the Rams, they were in position to have the number one seed. They had a 30-14 lead. They squandered that lead. Then they find themselves down by 21 a week later to the Falcons. They come back in that game, but they still lose that game. So my pick, is still, I picked the Rams to go to the Super Bowl a week ago. I'm going to stick with it. It just comes down to, once again, are they going to be able to finish the game, play complete 60 minutes? And I think, again, the Bears continue to show it. You've got to put them away. And I do think that the Bills-Broncos game is going to be super interesting. I think Josh Allen is the better quarterback. He still might be the best quarterback in the league. Health is the huge thing with him. We know he's playing through an injury. He was in the medical tent twice this past week. His health is going to be a huge indicator of whether or not the Bills can get yet another road playoff win.
Of course, when teams lose, the quarterback is going to get a lot of criticism, and we love Jordan Love around here, the Utah State guy, and Justin Herbert came up short again. Those two quarterbacks in particular, how much responsibility do they deserve for the shortcomings of their team this year?
Not much, if any. I mean, I watched Jordan Love. I mean, he doesn't run a lot. I would like to see him kind of maybe add some of that dimension to his game. I think that makes him somewhat one-dimensional when teams play against him. I thought he and the offense were a little conservative with the 21-3 lead against the Bears in the second half, but I'm not going to put that on him. I mean, he was throwing lasers to Matthew Golden, a rookie who had not had a good rookie season. He doesn't have the best of wideout options there, and so they were better than what Rodgers had. But still not very good. I mean, Romeo Doubs is nice. Christian Watson's nice. Matthew Golden could have a future, but he's not throwing to Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, right? I mean, if you put Jordan Love in the Rams offense, he's going to be better than Matthew Stafford. That's no knock on Stafford. And I would say the same thing about Justin Herbert. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest receivers either, and his team was decimated with injuries at running back, on the line. The Chargers were that everybody, I think, saw that coming. Barring a crazy upset and some crazy things happening, they were going to lose that game. So I don't put much of it on either. I will say this, though. I do think at this point it's time to pause the class of 2020 versus class of 1983 quarterback comparisons with Marino, Elway, and Jim Kelly, and 2020, which had Burrow and Tua and Herbert. I mean, there's still, obviously years for those guys to add to their resumes, but so far Burrow's the only one with a playoff win. And so until that changes, 83 is still, in my opinion, the best quarterback class.
I understand it with a young coach and Sam Darnold's the quarterback and it remains unproven. The Seahawks' 3 losses this year are by 4 points, 3 points, and 2 points, and that was progressive throughout the season. The games got closer, but their wins are relatively lopsided. They were not in a ton of close games throughout the season. Are the Seahawks being slept on?
No doubt, by me included. I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl, even though I picked the Rams. And the reason why I picked the Rams is I'm a big fan of experience and I've seen them do it before. I know a lot of those pieces are different, but the crux of it is still, McVay and Stafford. But no, everybody is sleeping on Seattle because nobody wants to jump on the bandwagon because nobody believes in Sam Darnold. He reminds me so much, and we're going to go back in time here. It reminds me of Jim Plunkett, who was a former number 1 overall pick, 1970. I believe he won the Heisman Trophy, was considered a bust forever. And then in his early 30s, goes to the Raiders, helps them become the first wildcard team to win a Super Bowl. The rest is history. I see that a lot with Sam Darnold. I mean, and to your point, they've won so many decisive games this season. And in the close games against the Rams, they come back and win that game with Darnold playing a big role in that game. And I think Mike McDaniel or McDonald, you talk about the young coaches in the game. He could be the best coach left. I mean, there are so many young coaches where I do agree with you. I think sometimes we lean on the guys that we know, the Shanahans, the McVays. I think this has been a showcase of some really good young coaches that haven't gotten their due yet. So, no, I think people are sleeping on Seattle, and I think it's wrong, but I think it's going to remain that way until Sam Darnold wins, quote-unquote, the big one.
Where does John Harbaugh end up next?
Wow, that's a good one. A trade with the Steelers. No, I'm kidding. I don't think that would happen. I think the best coaching job besides Baltimore is Atlanta because of the young defense they have. Bijan Robinson I would put McCaffrey in the top 3 of running backs. I mentioned him earlier. Bijan to me is the best. He is like a stronger version of Barry Sanders. He's amazing to watch. They've got such good players, and they play in the easiest division in the NFL. And I think the expectations there. Like I was talking with somebody, one of my colleagues, saying, "Oh, I think Tomlin to Green Bay would be a great trade." I don't think so because Green Bay has the same expectations as the Steelers do. You go to Atlanta, you win 10 games, you're a god. You're going to the playoffs. You're winning the division. You're hosting a playoff game. So I think that's where he should go, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be you twisted my arm, I think he is going to go to Miami. I think the Giants are Miami. For whatever reason, the Giants are in the mix. I would absolutely not go there. You'd have to pay me to go there. I also don't like the weather there, but I think he'll probably go to Miami, but Atlanta would be my pick for any head coach if I had the option.
Do you think he'd wait to see if the Bills' jobs open up?
No. That's a great point, though. Fantastic point, but I don't think so. I think he's ready to make that move. I think he's already potentially looked at those options, and I think because he's a very calculated guy. I mean, he apparently only took like a third of the offers he got to actually consider. So I think he's going to stick with those options and make a decision rather quickly.
Well, Brian, we appreciate you jumping on with us as always, and enjoy the remainder of the playoffs.
Yeah, enjoy.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Bryan DeArdo covers the NFL for CBS Sports.
Again, wild. One of these teams remaining is going to win a Super Bowl. Now, look, it's every year that somebody's legacy is added to or created by winning the Super Bowl. But you look at the names specifically left, who is there and who is not there. Obviously not having Mahomes out there anymore. It's ripe for the picking for somebody to turn themselves into one of the who's of the NFL this season.
It's a wild what a crapshoot the NFL is. It's just amazing.
And it's funny that it doesn't hurt the product.
Well, and it
would be great if Mahomes, I'm sure the NFL would prefer to have Mahomes out there, but people are tuning in. I mean, these are going to get record numbers like they do every year.
And maybe, I can't believe I'm saying this, but what I was asking so badly to Brian there was we maybe underestimate head coaches in football, or at least I do, because we've seen a parade of bozos go through Chicago. Mm-hmm. Just a parade of failure. And this Ben Johnson guy seems to be great. And all of a sudden, Chicago is in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Vrabel, who did a good job at Tennessee, because that's a bad franchise, and he did a good job at Tennessee. Bill Belichick was kind of bozo at the end there.
Yeah,
and then who was the guy they hired in the middle? Why am I going blank? But he did a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
And then Vrabel puts the train on the tracks. He's got a young quarterback. You coach him up right. Caleb Williams was maybe a bad coach away from being washed out of the NFL, If Zach Wilson, Gerard Mayo, thank you, Christian. If Zach Wilson would have had a coach with half a brain at the start, maybe his development is different. Who knows? But the point is these young quarterbacks get paired with the right coaches and good things happen.
And you're right. This is not just saying like, oh, that means they have a quarterback whisperer. But you look at the Texans last night. DeMeco Ryans is an incredible head coach. What does he do? He just has the most stacked defense. Either C.J. Stroud doesn't have to be great. He has to be okay, and they can win games.
I guess that's my point, because head coach in the NFL means so much more than quarterback whisperer. Yeah. I think that's way overrated.
I think I worry that's how it was being interpreted.
I think it has to do with structure. I think it has to do with personnel. I think it has to do with basic habits, accountability, all sorts of stuff like that. They had to build in a clause in Kyler Murray's contract to get him to stop playing video games or something. Like, why was that ever allowed in the first place? You know what I mean?
But you're right. Teams do love to hire the quote-unquote quarterback whisperer. Nate Hackett got the job in Denver because he was the Aaron Rodgers guy. And Mike McDaniels is like the offensive wizard, the genius who you think is going to be able to get through to Tua or whatever it is. And, it certainly doesn't need to be the only pathway. And
there's a million other things, that lead to success. There's a million other things that lead to success, especially in football.
Yeah.
In basketball, it's the temptation to give your franchise to a player is great in basketball because one player can make so much of a difference. Even the quarterback can't make that much of a difference in the NFL. Everybody else has to do their job. It's such a cliche, but all 11 guys have to do their job in order for a play to be successful. It's really true.
And maybe the best argument for this, even though they didn't make the playoffs this year, is Dan Campbell in Detroit, who Detroit just could not put one foot in front of the other forever. And they didn't go out and try and get a quarterback whisperer. They got the hardest. He played tight end, right? But they get the hardest, offensive line, defensive line guy in the league. I mean, he is he looks like some of those players. And all of a sudden, the Lions are able to become a very respectable franchise very quickly. So, yeah, I think it's a good point.
All right. Stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Thanks to Bryan for jumping on with us. We appreciate it. It's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you about Win Ticket Wednesday, your chance to win big every week on the station. Coming up tomorrow, you're going to be able to win tickets to go see Ski Joring. Ski Joring, Utah, which returns to Heber City January 16th and 17th. The tickets will be for Friday, by the way. You can get your tickets at proskijor.com, proskijor.com. Get your tickets today or listen all day tomorrow for your chance to win. We're going to talk some Mammoth hockey coming up here momentarily with Cole Bagley in the middle of the homestand, Ben. In fact, Cole's ready to go. Hit it, Christian.
It's time to talk hockey with the Utah Mammoth and NHL insider on KSLSports.com, Cole Bagley on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Mammoth take on the Maple Leafs tonight as the home stand continues. Cole Bagley with us right after practice. What's up, Cole?
Not much. How are you guys?
Cole, why is it an 8 p.m. puck drop tonight?
It's a national broadcast.
Okay.
Which I think is kind of funny because it's on like ESPN Plus and Hulu. So I don't know that I'd consider that like
it's not TNT
national broadcast, but yeah, no, it's on streaming. So, but yeah, 8:00.
Late night for you. Good for you. Let me ask you before we get to this game about the latest with the lawsuit between the Utah Mammoth and the Mammoth Athletic Company. What I read this last night, and I have a little bit of a hard time deciphering things after I've watched the Jazz game. So can you explain to me what happened?
Yeah, so this is a Mammoth Hockey LLC. They're a kind of like a pristine hockey bag company. I believe that they're based out of Oregon. I think they've existed for about 10 to 12 years. Essentially, they were threatening some legal battles with the Utah Mammoth after the Mammoth revealed their new name this last summer. And I think, just trying to get ahead of it, the Mammoth actually engaged in a lawsuit with this company. And once the company received that they were notified of that lawsuit, they filed for a preliminary injunction. And basically, what a preliminary injunction is to maintain the existing state of affairs and prevent one party from causing harm to another while a legal case is being resolved. But it's an extremely difficult measure to be granted. And in this case, it wasn't. This court documentation came through a couple weeks ago, and we were able to get a look at it. And basically, they've ruled in favor of the Utah Mammoth in terms of not allowing a preliminary injunction because the court favored that they were not able to determine that the Mammoth were causing a likelihood of confusion or irreparable harm to Mammoth Hockey Bags LLC. So, that's pretty much what it is. That's the gist of it. There's a whole bunch of court documentation. I think it's like 23 to 25 pages. So, that was a fun read. But, just kind of to summarize, there's still some ongoing litigation, and we'll see where it goes from here. But so far, the Utah Mammoth can continue to use their branding due to the fact that the court ruled in their favor.
Toronto tonight, Dallas Thursday, Seattle Saturday, and then Philadelphia next Wednesday. That's the remaining games in the homestand. What are realistic expectations, do you think?
Yeah, this is where I think, the homestand kind of turns it up a notch in terms of the competition. Toronto, Dallas, Seattle, and Philly, those are all really good teams that are, I believe all of those teams are actually well in playoff spots right now. Toronto has won 8 of their last 10. I believe that they might actually be the one team that's not in a playoff spot, but they are one of the hottest teams in the NHL over the last 10 games. Dallas is, a juggernaut. Seattle has come out of nowhere this season, and then Philadelphia has had a really good year. So I think realistic expectations, you got to win 2 of these next 4. I think, 3 or more would be, just gravy. That would be, an excellent way to finish the homestand. But, they really got to find a way to win 2 of these games. I'd say that Seattle and Philly are probably the easier opponents to face right now. But still, no game in the NHL is really a night off.
Cole, I don't remember exactly the date that Clayton Keller was named to the Olympic team, but over his last 3 games, he has 2 points, 3 points, and 2 points. They're all assists. He's not found the back of the net himself, but his play has taken a serious uptick since the announcement. Is that something you've seen, and do you think that's a weight off his shoulders?
Yeah, for sure. I would say that Keller is probably kind of a second half of the year type player anyways. He kind of eases into his game a little bit, and once they kind of come down the back half of the schedule, he turns it up a notch, and he kind of finds a different level. And that you can go back a couple of years even to Arizona, and that's kind of the case. And he did that last season, and he was able to put forth one of his best years. Actually, his best year statistically was 60 assists and 90 points. And as of late, no doubt, I think it's a weight off of his shoulders. There definitely was some question as to whether or not, he was going to make the roster. Obviously a phenomenal year last season, a really good summer leading the United States to their first gold at World Championships at 93 years. But then it was kind of a little bit of a slower start. He hasn't been quite a point per game type player until recently. Still very good, but not excellent by any standard. But he's I think now that that's kind of off his back, he knows that he's earned a spot on the Olympic roster. He's going to be Olympian, and he's going to play for a very, very good U.S. team, arguably the best roster that the United States has ever submitted at an Olympics. I think it's a big achievement for him. I know it means a lot to him. I know he's been thinking about it for a long time, and so now he can just play hockey. And I think as well, even though he's made the team, I think there's still, now the question is, well, how much is he going to play? With how talented they are, especially how deep this roster runs. I'd expect that Keller was probably one of the last guys to make the cut. And so I think right now for him, now he's on the team, that weight's off. But now I think he's turned it up a notch because he realizes, I don't want to just go to the Olympics and sit in the press box. I want to go to the Olympics and be on the ice and play and help my country win gold for the first time in what's more than 40 years. So. I think it's a combination of he's relieved, but he's also heavily focused on earning some more minutes in Milan.
I keep hearing rumors about the Bear and his job status as coach. Is he on the hot seat?
I think he's probably on the hot seat more than any other point in his career with the Mammoth. In his tenure with the Mammoth, and that's just simply because this is year 5 of a rebuild, right? There's no more looking the other way. There's no more really excuses of being a young team, of being a developing team, of being, a roster that, there really weren't any expectations through the first 3 seasons because what did he have to work with? What did he have to deal with? Brand new NHL players, a whole bunch of draft picks, a whole bunch of young players. Well, now that team's starting to mature, right? Like we're starting to see the evolution of Logan Cooley and of Dylan Guenther. And even of some of the more veteran type players, guys like Clayton Keller, kind of coming into their prime, Mikhail Sergachev, taking on a different role. They've added a lot of experienced and talented depth, and guys like Nate Schmidt and Kevin Stenlund and Ian Cole and Oli Mata. Like this is a team on paper that should make the playoffs this year, and that's what they've been saying since exit interviews almost a year ago. Is that last year was about playing meaningful hockey. This year, it's about playing meaningful hockey, but winning those meaningful games and getting into the playoffs. And so, I don't think that this team would be, doing their due diligence if they hadn't maybe turned it up a little bit in terms of expectations, and a lot of that comes back on the coach. I mean, the front office felt that they had done kind of their job in terms of giving him a roster that could compete, and now it's on him to deliver, right?
Dylan Guenther dropping to the third line tonight. Daniil Boot jumping up to the second line. What do you make of that move?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. If you were to ask me my full opinion on it, I don't know that dropping arguably your best offensive player, at least your best goal scorer and your MVP since Logan Cooley went out of the top six is necessarily the right decision. I was able to ask Torney about it today, and they said that they're mostly what they're doing is they're looking for a spark. They're looking to help spark Guenther because he has gone a little cold over the last couple of games since they reunited him with J.J. Peterka, and obviously Barrett Hayton is centering that line. And then Boot is playing really well, but Boot is not finding the back of the net. And so they're hoping that maybe this combination, Gunther's played a lot with Jack McBain in his time in the NHL. They played, him and Logan Cooley and McBain were kind of a staple last season until later in the year when they made some more changes to the lineup. And so they're familiar. I think they play well off of each other because Jack McBain is more of a net front presence. He's a bigger guy. He can open up the space for Guenther, and obviously Gunther's more of a creator and a shooter. With Boot, I'm thinking that maybe they're hoping that more of that speed with J.J. Peterka will then maybe alleviate some space for him. But Torney did point out that that's how they're going to start the game. They'll kind of see how it goes, and if they need to adjust, they will. But it's definitely an interesting move for sure.
Cole, thank you for jumping on. As always, enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Great stuff, Cole. Thank you.
Thanks, Cole. There you go. Cole Bagley covers the Mammoth for KSLSports.com.
The Mammoth for now. Unless they have to change their name.
It'd be wild if they had to go a different direction.
Certainly sounds like the court's leaning in their favor. That's unfounded, this lawsuit.
It's time to start bribing judges, man.
Right? What's Ryan Smith doing?
Hopefully sending big bags of cash.
Sleep at the wheel.
What
this team needs is a real legal controversy.
Well, I'm telling you this, it'd be more expensive if they have to change the name again. So
That's true. It's true.
Find out where this judge's kid wants to go to school or something.
Right, put a name on a building.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Weird. It's interesting.
Well, it's a judgment. Mammoth, the hockey team, not the bad company. Now, if you excuse me, I'm off to Fiji.
Yeah, right.
Let's give away.
My credit card debts have been paid off.
What do you know?
Oh, nice.
It's time to give away some Jazz tickets. Go ahead, Christian.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, and your chance to win tickets is right now.
Call this number now.
Call this number now.
Be caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. And you'll be on your way to Delta Center to see the Utah Jazz.
He fires the three. He hits. Oh, don't do me like that.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Caller number 12 right now, you're going to go see the Jazz take on the T-Wolves coming up Tuesday, January 20th. Tip-off at Delta Center will be at 6 o'clock. Caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
1, 2, 3, move it.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airways, talking sports. They got him Matrix and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Hans and Scotty on Thursday at RGS Exteriors from noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Also, Hans and Scotty from noon to 3 at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown tomorrow, sorry. 11155 South Jordan Gateway in South Jordan. Tim Daly, home of the Forever Warranty. Ben, this doesn't necessarily qualify high on the scale of weird things that happen after Jazz games. But you know, like, I don't know, you can think of them. Doc Rivers got fired after losing to the Jazz. He was the Orlando coach. He got fired the next day. Eva Longoria broke up with Tony Parker the day after a Jazz game in Salt Lake. I'm trying to think of some of the others. Like, weird random stuff happens right after Jazz games. But anyway, report coming from HP Basketball, Ben.
Okay.
DeAndre Hunter reportedly wants out of Cleveland.
Oh, that didn't last long.
This is the source for HP Basketball. Among the things I tend to squint skeptically at is when someone says that guy wants out bad. NBA players do tend to have pretty good perspective that they make tens of millions to play basketball and that their worst situation is still pretty good. But there's a lot of smoke around the idea that DeAndre Hunter, or at least his representation, would prefer he be somewhere else, unquote. And then Amico Hoops reports, Ben, the Cavaliers have been rejecting trade offers for DeAndre Hunter and want to give their roster more time. Now, I find this hilarious, Ben, because DeAndre Hunter came off the bench and played 18 minutes last night.
You wouldn't have been able to tell he was on the team, to be honest with you.
I had to check and see if he played. I thought he was hurt for a second when I initially, what Cleveland is doing just doesn't make any sense. I'm telling you, they have a good team. DeAndre Hunter is a good player.
I think they've got a good coach. I think Kenny Atkinson's a good coach. Maybe he's not.
I thought he was.
I thought he was too.
But maybe Adele was right when she was calling Donovan a coach killer.
DeAndre Hunter last night in 17 minutes off the bench, 2 points. He makes he's on a $90 million contract. What does he make a year? Hefty. And he was kind of their big trade. They kind of cashed in whatever they didn't give to the Jazz for Donovan Mitchell. They cashed in for DeAndre Hunter. He makes $24 million a year. That's a lot for a guy coming off the bench and not really doing a whole lot.
They're wasting that dude.
Yeah, they are. And look, this does get interesting for the Jazz. You were joking about how maybe the Jazz were trying to win this one to help their own lottery pick this year. If the Cavs miss the playoffs, the Jazz own their pick. The truth is, the Jazz own the Cavaliers pick outright next year, another swap in 2028, and then their pick again in 2029. Like, the Jazz are reaping the rewards of the Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell trade. Lauri Markkanen's an all-star. I don't know if he's going to make it this year just because the numbers in the West are so difficult, but he's averaging 28 points a game. Like, that's an all-star. Who cares if he plays in the game?
Isn't it some weird international thing? Isn't that why everybody's saying he's going to make it? Cause
he might get picked. You have to have 8 international players, and there's like 7 that are automatic, and then it's going to be between a couple of guys. So Lauri has a chance. Certainly, I'm not ruling Lauri out. But Keyonte George is suddenly playing. Now, Keyonte is from the Rudy Gobert trade. Walker's from the Rudy Gobert trade. Lauri is from the Donovan Mitchell trade. And Lauri's been excellent. We will see what ends up happening with Keyonte and Walker going forward. But the Jazz are starting to reap the rewards of that, and they have not even gotten close to paying all of it off. Again, the Cavaliers, I think there's a very realistic chance the Jazz are still going to get a lottery pick out of this. They're going to progressively get worse over the next couple of seasons. And maybe because it's the Eastern Conference, they're just going to be good enough to hang around or make the play-in tournament, and it's a mid-first round pick. But I don't think the Jazz are going to be saddled with 28th and 29th picks, which I think was some concern for Jazz fans as recently as 12 months ago.
And then I have a less serious idea for the show.
Okay. Finally, an opportunity for you and me to get less serious.
Do you think we could make it look like Christian was a world-class curler or some random sport, like dress it up and get him into an event?
At the Olympics?
I don't know about the Olympics, but the breakdancer made it. The Australian fake breakdancer made it in the Olympics. Listen to this story. This is in Kenya. A professional tennis tournament in Kenya allowed a woman to play who Ben lost in straight sets, obviously, in a professional tournament. She it lasted 37 minutes. She had 20 double faults. Her opponent had to instruct her where to stand on the baseline to serve. And it was quite obvious that this woman was
I never played tennis
Did
before.
you see the video? So I don't know tennis jargon. I don't know what a double fault is. But I watched the video and I was like, oh, this is the worst tennis player ever.
Fail to get the ball in play twice.
So on
the serve.
I guess, what is this, secretary, something of the Kenyan Tennis Federation, said she gave false information about her ranking and her stats. We can't find her and don't know where she's gone to. They added that this woman apparently just emailed the tournament and said, I'm really good. And then an actual professional pulled out of the tournament. So the tournament was looking for a competitor last minute and said, oh, this woman's been emailing us, telling us she's awesome. Let's let her play. And now they're an international joke. So I guess what I'm saying is, if we made a resume saying that Christian was a world-class curler, like, could we get him into an international curling competition?
I want to back up quickly. Did you say she won some points?
No. Well, I don't know if she won any
points. I think she won 3 points. I'm looking up the story now. How did she win 3 points?
Oh, maybe the person hit it out of bounds or something.
How?
Hit it into the net.
If she's just serving up meatballs the entire time, or is she just being nice? It shouldn't. If you're an actual tennis player playing against somebody who's never played before. I'm seeing the video now. Yeah, that's wild. I can't believe she ever won a point, if she did. But the report is she did win 3 points.
Like, let's get Christian into American Ninja Warrior and then watch him just go out and fall.
So, no disrespect to the wonderful people of Kenya, but the problem with the United States is we have, relative to the rest of the world, very few problems for most people in day-to-day life. That's not to say people don't have very real issues. But because of that spare time, there's enough people in our country doing everything. I don't know if tennis is flourishing in Kenya to the point where somebody like this can sneak through and it will go unchecked. But I think the problem is whatever niche sport we try to put Christian in, there is actually a club somewhere of people playing in the United States, because we do tend to have some spare time because we have 40-hour work weeks. And our lifetime supply is not.
I might be pretty dang good at curling. You just don't know.
A lady checking you into a curling competition isn't running a background check. She's just going stamp. All right, you're in lane 4.
You're right. This isn't quite like this was the Olympics and it's the host country, so you get to put somebody in every event and they just pick somebody out who was an athlete somewhere else. You're right. But if that is the case, we do host the Olympics coming up 2 years from now and in LA. Let's figure out something for Christian. 2 years from now, we will have the Summer Olympics. We got to find the most niche sport that nobody has signed up for, but because we're the host country, we get a representative. And we send Mr. Esparza.
I like it.
Speed walking.
All right, stay tuned.
Do you have your family, what's your family's heritage?
My grandfather's born in Mexico.
So do you have?
No.
Like,
I think it's your parents. I don't think it's your grandparents.
Well, Jordan Clarkson plays for...
But his mom's from the Philippines, right?
I think it's his grandma. I don't think his mom even is. I think it's just his grandmother.
I thought it was parent. Is it grandparent too?
But Mexico's probably too big. Probably going to have too many good athletes. I was hoping you were from somewhere niche you could represent.
A small Caribbean island or something?
1,200 people on the island. Christian is the only person who could come out there. And yeah, the curling representative.
Yeah. All right. Stay tuned. Hans and Scotty coming up next. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether you're stuck in the office,
I believe you have my stapler,
in your car, or at